Hi guys, welcome back. The question for this video is difference between final, finally and finalize. This is also one of the most famous interview question in Java. So let's see one by one. Let's start with final. Final is a reserved keyword in Java and also it is one among the 12 Java's modifier. We can apply final modifier with variables. We can also apply final modifier with the methods and we can apply final modifier also with classes. With all these components, the behavior of final modifier is somewhat similar. It enforces some restrictions. Whenever we are using final with variables, then those variables cannot be reassigned. Whenever we are using final with methods, then those kind of methods lack the opportunity to get overridden. And last, whenever we are applying final modifier with the classes, those classes cannot have child classes at any cost. Let's see one by one with examples. First, let's try to apply final modifier with variable. Have a look at this program. Int a is equal to 10, a is equal to 15. System.out.println a. What will be the output for this? I'm creating a variable named a and I'm storing an integer value 10 inside that variable. And in the very next line, I'm overriding the 10 and reassigning with 15. And in third line, I'm printing the value of a. Which value will be printed? Of course, the latest updated value will be printed. So I'm going to get 15 as the output. In the same code, I'm going to do a smaller change. I'm just adding the keyword final in the first line. Final int a is equal to 10, a equal to 15, system.out.println a. What will be the behavior of this code if I try to compile and execute? The result is the code won't compile and we gonna get compilation error because a is your final variable. If a is the final variable, then we cannot reassign its value. In the first line itself, I assigned it 10 to it. In the next line, I am trying to change the value of a, but it is not possible because a is a final variable. So I'm going to get the compilation error saying cannot assign a value to a final variable. So let's check this. I'm opening VS Code. So let's write final int a is equal to 10, a is equal to 15. So let's compile. Yeah, we are getting compilation error saying cannot assign a value to a final variable. So what is the takeaway here? Whenever we are applying final with variables, we cannot reassign values for that variables. Next, what will be the behavior of final methods? So consider this example. I'm having two class. First class name is parent and another class whose name is child. So let's consider this as parent and this as child. Okay. My parent class contains two methods. The name of the first method is property. Public void property. Of course, our parents will be saving a lot of properties for us now. What are the properties we can expect? There is no limit for expectation, right? We can expect anything. Let's say money, house, gold, land, vehicle, dot dot dot. But our parents won't stop just with saving properties. They're having one of the most important responsibility for their child. That is, finding alliance for him and arranging a marriage proposal. Public void marriage. So I'm having another method whose name is marriage. Um, let's say the name as Sublakshmi. So don't try to examine the meaning behind this name. It is just a random name. Okay, my parent class is over. I'm having a class named parent, and this class contains two methods. The first method is property method, and the second method is child method. And we are having another class whose name is child. If this child has to accept parent class methods now, what it has to do? First of all, it has to inherit the parent class. In order to inherit that, we have to use a keyword extends. Extends parent. If it is extending the behavior of parents now, all these methods will be available to the child class by default. So all these properties is for child only. And also this marriage proposal is also for child. What my child will do? The child is happy with the property because money, house, land, gold, those much of property. Who will say no for that? But the child class is not happy with the marriage proposal. So what the child will do? The child will override the marriage method in its class. Let's say public void marriage. System.out.println. You can give whatever the name you want. I'm not going to specify any specific name, so I leave it as X, Y, Z. That's it. Here, what we are doing, my parent class contains two methods, and my child class is not satisfied with one of the method. And that method is one of the most important method in the remaining lifetime of the child. So that child class is overriding that marriage method in its own class. But sometimes parent will be very strict. You are my child, so my decision is final. If I'm looking for an alliance for you, you have to get married to him or her. That kind of parents will make this method as final. What this bloody final is doing here? If this marriage method is final, then the child lacks the opportunity to perform overriding in its class. Even if he try to perform, then my compiler is not going to accept, which means my parent is not going to accept. So whenever we are applying final modifier with the methods, that methods cannot be overridden in child classes. So let's execute this also in our editor. So I'll create a parent class first. Class parent public void property. System.out.println house, gold, land, money, dot dot dot, etc. Public void marriage. What is the name? A beautiful name. Shubh Lakshmi. So parent class is over. Next we will create child class. Class child. If this parent has to accept this child, then this child has to inherit the behaviors of parent. So we have to use extends parent. So now the first class is the parent class and the second class is the child class. This child is very happy with the properties their parents is saving for him, but the child is not satisfied with the marriage. So what this clever child will do? He will get the properties as it is, no change, no increment, no decrement, exact properties he needs. But he is not satisfied with the marriage, so he will override the marriage method. So let's compile, let's execute. Oh my god. Wait. It is my old class. Okay, we can compile. But if we try to execute, we will get runtime exception because we are not writing main method in any of these classes. If I try to execute parent method, then main method should be there. If I try to execute child class, here also main method should be there, but no main method. But we don't have to worry about those things. As of now, the code is compiling fine. Now the parent is somewhat strict. So what they will do, they make their decision as final, which means the child is not having the opportunity to look for his marriage. But what we did, even though the decision of parent is final, the child is not satisfied. He's still trying to struggle. He's still fighting. But whatever he fight, no way, my parent will not accept. My compiler also will not accept. Marriage in child cannot override marriage in parent. So this is the behavior of final when applied with method. Whenever final is applied with a method, those methods cannot be overridden. And next, third, the behavior of final when applied with class. This is very easier one. I'm having two classes. This is class A and this is class B. If the B class has to be a child class of A, na, what it has to do? It has to extend A. Fine. A is the parent and B is the child. If final keyword is applied with the classes, then these classes cannot have child class. In this case, if B try to extend A, then this code will not compile and we are going to get compilation error. Let's execute this code also. Class A and class B extends A. Let's compile. As of now, no issues. Let's make the A class as final and B class is trying to extend from a final class. Now compile. The code will not compile. The compilation error says cannot inherit from final A. So this is all about final. If it is applied with a variable, then that variable cannot be reassigned. If it is applied with method, then that method cannot be overridden. If it is applied with a class, then that class cannot have child class. Now let's come to finally. Finally is also one of the reserved keyword of Java. We have 51 reserved keywords in Java. Final is one of the keyword and finally is also one of the reserved keyword. It is used in the concept of exception handling. Whatever the resources opened as a part of try block will be closed inside the finally block. For example, I'm having a try block. The code which we write inside the try block is called risky code. Why we are calling it as risky code? Because those code poses the chance so that there may be a possibility of exception in the runtime. We cannot say the exception will happen for sure. There may be a chance. If exception occur, how we will handle that? Using a catch block. So the code which we write inside the catch block is called handling code. And the third comes finally. The code which we write inside the finally block is called cleanup code. Whatever the resources we opened as a part of try block will be closed inside the finally block because finally block gives us a guarantee that it will execute always. Whether exception is raised or not, the finally will be executed always. So let's try this with a simple example. We are not going to open any resources, but in order to show the behavior of finally, we will try a simple program. Class main, public static void main, try. So inside the try block, I'm going to give a statement which will raise an exception. Int a is equal to 10 by 0. What is the possible exception? Arithmetic exception, division by 0. Inside the class block, we have to handle that. Arithmetic exception E. I'm just going to print the exception information. And at last comes the final block. We are not going to write any close-up or cleanup activities. We are just going to write a print statement in order to check whether this final block is getting executed or not. Finally executed. Oh my gosh. Executed. Okay. So let's clear the terminal, compile the file, execute the class. Yeah. So my execution starts from the main method, and inside the main method, the first block is try method. The first statement inside the try method is int a is equal to 10 by 0. It is vulnerable to arithmetic exception. So whenever exception is raised, then the corresponding catch block will be executed. Inside the catch block, we are just printing the exception information. That's why we are getting java.lang.arithmetic exception division by 0. And also finally block is getting executed. That's why we are seeing the finally executed output. In this case, exception is raised and finally is executed. Now let's change the statement in try block. In this code, there is no chance of raising any exception. But in this case also, finally block will execute. Let's compile and run. So we are going to see the output finally executed. So this is about finally. Finally is a keyword in Java which is associated with the concept of exception handling. So what are the resources we opened as a part of try block will be closed inside the finally block. Whether the exception will be raised or not, the finally will be executed always. And our third part is finalize. Finalize is a method because we are having brackets after the word, so it is a method in Java. This method is present inside object class. If it is present inside object class, then it is available to all of its child classes, because object is the superior class in Java. Every other class is a child class of object. What are all the resources opened as a part of object? Those resources will be closed inside finalize method. So I'm going to write a statement like student s is equal to new student. What will happen as a result of this statement? A new object of student type will be created in the heap memory, and a reference variable s will be pointing to it. And the next line I'm performing s equal to null, which means the variable s will no longer point to the object. Now I'm having an object in the heap memory with no references. There is no references currently pointing to this object. These type of objects are called useless object, because if there is no handle to that object, we cannot access it. If there is no access to that object, then that is a waste. We can call the waste as trash or useless. That is why this object is called as useless object. These useless object has to be destroyed in order to free our heap memory. But destruction of this useless object is not the responsibility of programmer. Java keeps a person for that. The name of the person is called garbage collector. And the process of destroying this object is called garbage collection. Okay, you may get a doubt. Okay, you are saying something useless object, garbage collector, garbage collection. How these concepts will relate to finalize method? Wait, I will come to this slowly. So, garbage collector is one of a component which is responsible to destroy useless objects in Java. But before destruction of any object, the garbage collector will execute the finalize method, because there may be a database connection opened as a part of this object. There may be a network connection opened as a part of this object. If the garbage collector destroys the object now, these resources will get wasted. So before the destruction of these objects, these resources will have to close properly. That cleanup activities will be performed inside this finalize method. So before destruction of any objects, the finalize method will be executed in order to perform cleanup activities. So the finalize method is present inside object class. The object class finalize method is empty. It doesn't have any implementation. If I'm creating student object now as a part of student class, it is my responsibility to override the finalize method and have to write the corresponding cleanup code. If it is not now, then object class finalize will be executed, and even if it is executed, then it is of no use, because the finalize method has empty implementation inside object. So what is finalize? Finalize is a method in Java which is used to perform cleanup activities for the opened up resources as a part of object. This process is called finalization. The process of cleaning up of resources is called finalization, and it will be happen just before the destruction of object. So let's recall or let's summarize all those. First we saw final. Final is a reserved keyword in Java which can be used with variables, methods, and also with classes. If it is used with a variable na, those variable cannot be reassigned. If it is used with a method na, those method will not be overridden. If it is used with a class na, those classes will not have child classes at any cost. So sad. And next we saw about finally. Finally is also a reserved keyword in Java which is used in the context of exception handling. What are all the resources opened as a part of try block will be closed inside finally block. So the code which we write inside finally block is called as cleanup code. And the finally block will execute always. Whether exception is raised or not, that is not my issue. I will execute always unless the JVM gets shut down. And our last component is finalize. Finalize is a predefined method in Java which is a member of object class. What are all the resources opened as a part of object will be closed inside finalize method. Those cleanup code will be implemented inside the finalize method, but it is the responsibility of the person who is creating the class, because object class finalize method has empty implementation. Just before the destruction of object, the finalization process will happen. As a part of finalization process, this finalize method will get executed and the cleanup activities will perform. But as of Java 9, this finalize method is deprecated, because this stupid finalize method leads to some unwanted problems. So from Java 9, this method was deprecated, but we have some more alternatives which are safer to use. We have try with resources, and we also have a new class called cleaner class. So we can use these try with resources and cleaner class to perform cleanup activities, because finalize is deprecated, and may be removed in future versions. So this is all about final, finally, and finalize. And once again, if you find the content worthy, then like it, share it, comment it, and don't forget to subscribe.